Volcanoes can be pretty deadly, even if you aren't anywhere near the volcano itself, because while we all know about lava flows, there is another danger that comes with volcanic eruptions, ash fall, and it can be just as deadly in the areas surrounding volcanoes, but also further away than you might think. In 1980, when Mount St. Helens erupted in Washington state, ash fell over an area of more than 220,000 square kilometers, which is around the size of the entire country of New Zealand. So how far can ash from a volcanic eruption actually travel? How much ash falls in a certain place depends on things like the strength of the eruption and the wind conditions. In the case of Mount St. Helens, the explosion was so violent that it sent ash more than 30 kilometers into the air, and those high-altitude winds spread it out over a huge area. Also, at the time of the eruption, there was a massive high-pressure system over the Pacific Northwest, and that kept pushing the ash cloud further east. Most of the ash fell within 64 kilometers of the volcano. Within this zone, there was an average of 3 centimeters of ash fall. But ash was detected as far away as New Zealand, which is more than 17,000 kilometers from the volcano. It's unlikely that you'll get more than a dusting of ash if you're that far away, though. Like barely anything will make it that far. Let's talk about what would happen to your body if you were outside during a volcano ash fall. If you got caught outside without a gas mask, you would probably have trouble breathing. Volcanic ash is made up of tiny pieces of rock and glass and hot gases that are released during an eruption. That rock and glass is pulverized by the force of the eruption, and the resulting particles are small enough to be suspended in the air for days or even weeks. If you inhaled these particles, they could get stuck in your lungs and cause serious damage. Plus, they can also carry dangerous chemicals like sulfur dioxide, hydrogen sulfide, and hydrochloric acid. The combination of these factors would lead to acute respiratory distress, and in severe cases could even cause death. If you did have a gas mask, it wouldn't help you breathe any better, but it might prevent some of the really dangerous chemicals from getting in your lungs. And in some ways, being far from the volcano might actually protect you more than being close by. When ash starts falling heavily, it can totally block out the sun and make daytime look like nighttime. This is called volcanic winter. Not only does this sudden darkness interfere with your circadian rhythm, but it also means that the temperature where you are will suddenly drop dramatically. Your body can only maintain a normal temperature range for so long before hypothermia kicks in. Even if you manage to survive the journey home, hypothermia is not the only health risk posed by the ash. Walking through a layer of ash can make it hard to breathe. The ash can make it hard to see, and if it's wet, it can be super slippery. Plus, if the ash gets in your shoes, it can cut up your feet. All this is bad enough if you're young and healthy, but if you're elderly or have heart or respiratory issues, it can be life-threatening. And even if you survive the initial ash fall, more dangers may lie ahead. Ash is abrasive, and if it builds up on your skin, it can cause blisters, severe sunburn, and third-degree burns. And if it gets in your eyes, it can even cause blindness. Ash can also seriously mess with your hearing. If it builds up in your ear, it can cause ear infections and even rupture your eardrums. And as you can imagine, ash can wreak havoc on your sense of taste and smell too. If it's mixed in with chemicals and other particulates in the air, it can basically make everything taste and smell like ash for however long the ash is around. But perhaps even worse than all that is what happens when the ash interacts with water. Water and ash react very strongly, and when they mix, the result can be explosive. Think back to that scene in Pompeii, where the main character is trapped in a room with his wife and the roof caves in on them because of all the water dripping onto the ash. That's exactly what happened in Pompeii. The weight of the ash caused the roofs of many buildings to collapse. But even if you manage to stay safe inside, water and ash can still harm you. When ash mixes with water, it forms a slurry that can be extremely dangerous. It's called lahar, and it can travel very quickly down rivers and streams. Lahars can reach speeds of up to 80 kilometers per hour and can last for days. They can also contain rocks and other debris that can cause serious damage and even drown people. People who lived along the river valleys near Mount St. Helens had to deal with lahars when the volcano erupted in 1980. One lahars swept through the town of Tutla, completely destroying it. Many people lost their lives in the louse, and those who survived were left homeless and without clean drinking water. You don't even have to be near a volcano to be affected by the water and ash mixture. In the aftermath of the Mount St. Helens eruption, Lahar traveled all the way to the Columbia River, which is more than 250 kilometers away. And here's another danger of volcanic ash that you might not associate with it: mudslides. Ash is incredibly heavy. A layer just 2 centimeters thick can weigh as much as 17 kilograms per square meter. That much ash can stay suspended in the air for a long time because it's so light. But once it starts to settle, it can cause serious problems. The weight of the ash can destabilize hillsides, and even small movements of the ground can cause large slides of ash and soil to come crashing down. These rapid and unexpected events can trigger serious injuries, loss of life, and property damage. All this makes it clear that you need to be prepared for all kinds of disasters, including volcanic eruptions. So let's talk about what you should do if you find yourself in this kind of situation. First, if there's an eruption and you can't leave the area, you should stay indoors and seal off your house as best as you can. Close all windows and doors and cover them with plastic sheeting and duct tape if possible. Turn off fans and air conditioning that could pull in ash-filled air, and use HEPA filter-equipped vacuum cleaners to remove ash from the air. Be sure to turn off outdoor lights and keep curtains closed during the day to block out the ash-filled darkness. You should also avoid using electrical appliances during a power outage. If ash has fallen on electrical equipment, it can make it dangerous to turn the power back on. After a volcanic eruption, you should also wear protective clothing whenever you go outside, including a long-sleeve shirt, pants, gloves, and a hat. You should also wear a properly fitted N100 or higher particulate mask to protect your lungs. Whenever you go outside, you should also try to wet the ash on your skin as soon as possible. Just be careful not to get water in your eyes. If you do, rinse them out with clean water as soon as possible. If you're planning on driving, you should first take steps to protect your car. Cover the engine with a tarp or plastic sheeting to prevent ash from getting in. And be sure to protect the inside of the car with a blanket or something similar. Also, fill your gas tank all the way and top off your windshield washer fluid. You should also drive slowly and cautiously, especially if it's raining, because that can make roads extra slippery. Remember to drive slowly and leave plenty of space between you and the cars around you. Also, make sure your brakes are working well, because you may need to stop quickly. Lastly, be aware of the possibility of lahars and mudslides after a volcanic eruption. If you live near a river, you should know that a lahar could come barreling toward you at any time. You should also avoid hiking or camping in areas that were covered in ash, because that can increase the chances of a rock slide. As you can tell, there are many hazards associated with volcanic ash. So if you live near a volcano, you should always be prepared for the worst. In the US, most volcanoes are located in the Pacific Northwest and California, but there are also a few in the central and eastern part of the country. Most people don't realize that Hawaii has volcanoes. The Big Island is home to the world's largest active volcano, Mauna Loa, and the world's most active volcano, Kilauea. Luckily, Mauna Loa hasn't erupted since 1950, and Kilauea's eruptions are usually pretty predictable. Still, a major eruption at either of these volcanoes could be catastrophic. So if you live in the US, it's a good idea to have an emergency kit ready to go in case there's ever a volcanic eruption near you. Your emergency kit should include items like food, water, flashlights, a battery-powered radio, and a whistle. Having these items on hand could make all the difference in an emergency. If you want to learn more about what should be in an emergency kit, you can check out Ready.gov. There's also information on the site about what to do in other situations like an earthquake or severe storm. Thanks for watching this episode. We've made a lot of science videos over the years, and we've been able to offer them for free because of our patrons. So to all of our patrons, thank you for what you do to make this happen. If you're not a patron, but you want to learn more about what that means, you can go to our support page.